Now, here we come up with one of the problem that can be solved with convolution. See, already we people have solved such kind of problems using convolution integral and graphical convolution also. So in case of graphical convolution, it was truly lengthy procedure to keep one of the signal as it is, then fold the other signal, then shift that folded signal, and then roll over the folded signal over the other one, just see the area of overlap, finally obtain the limits, then evaluate that integral. So that was it. That way it was a very tedious procedure. If you could remember, you could revise that particular thing there. Now let us try to simply do with the help of Fourier transforms convolution property. What does the Fourier transforms convolution property tells me? It tells me that if any two signals are convolved in time domain, equivalently they are multiplied in frequency domain, right? So that's how I'm proceeding further. Here there is one signal which is named as e raised to minus 2t u of t, and there is the other signal which is e raised to minus 6t u of t. Let me find out the Fourier transform of these two individually. Now if I compare this e raised to minus 2t u of t, it reminds me the equation e raised to minus at u of t. Right? What is the Fourier transform of this? The Fourier transform of this single-sided decreasing exponential sequence was 1 upon a plus j omega. It is 1 upon a plus j omega, right? So that way if I compare this thing, here a is nothing but 2. So that's why my Fourier transform here comes to be 1 upon 2 plus j omega. Similarly, for the other equation, it is e raised to minus 60, hence the Fourier transform comes to be 1 upon 6 plus j omega. What is my answer now? My answer is answer of the convolution. Just a moment. My answer of convolution of these two signals is nothing but multiplication of these two factors, right? So I am multiplying the signal, I am multiplying this factor with this one, right? But as actually this is not the answer. Ultimately, I am required to convert this thing finally into time domain. Again my this one comes into picture. What? Again my prisms form. Even if I want to analyze the signal there, right? Analyze the signal there. Ultimately, if I want to see the effect, again I am required to get back that particular signal in time domain. So that is what is the thing. Here I have performed the operation, right? But ultimately I want the effect in time. So I am required to take the inverse Fourier transform of this. Let us try to find out the inverse Fourier transform of this. Okay, so here my partial fraction expansion will help me. I can better write this particular equation as a1 upon 2 plus j omega plus a2 upon 2 plus j, a2 upon 6 plus j omega. If I am required to obtain the value of a1, it is a1 is evaluated as this entire equation. A1 is evaluated as the entire equation, this entire equation multiplied with this particular denominator factor of a1, and the whole thing is evaluated at j plus omega is equals to minus 2. Why j plus omega is equals to minus 2? 2 plus j omega is equals to 0. That's why j omega is equals to minus 2. Hence this entire thing is evaluated at j is equals to minus 2. If I evaluate this particular thing there, this thing and this thing, it is cancelled. What remains is 6 plus j omega. In place of j omega, just keep minus. 6 minus 2 comes to be 4. 1 by 4 comes to be 0.25, right? Similarly, if I move further there, I am required to obtain the value of a2. The entire equation multiplied by the denominator of a2. What is the denominator of a2? 6 plus j omega. That's why it is multiplied by 6 plus j omega. And the entire thing is evaluated at 6 plus j omega is equals to 0. That means j omega is equals to minus 6, right? This thing is cancelled, this thing is cancelled. At this place, keep minus 6. 2 minus 6 comes to be minus 4, right? So 1 upon minus 4. The final answer is 0.25. The final answer is minus 0.25. So a2's value is minus 0.25 and a1's value is 0.25. I can easily see now. It is easily the inverse Fourier transform of this thing is easily obtained. How come? See, I can very well take out this 0.25 and I can very well write it as j omega plus 2, right? I can very well write it in this way. So 1 upon a plus j omega, 1 upon, it resembles to 1 upon a plus j omega. What is the value of a now? A's value is 2. If I resemble it to, if I take this 0.25 aside, now this particular thing resembles to 1 upon 6 plus j omega. Here the value of a is 6, here the value of a is 2. I know that e raised to, same thing, I know that e raised to minus at u of t has a Fourier transform 1 upon a plus j omega. So whenever I come across this equation, I can easily write its inverse Fourier transform in terms of e raised to minus at u of t. Here a is 2, here a is 6. That's why it is e raised to minus 2t u of t, e raised to minus 6t u of t. In this case, this factor was constant, that is written here. In this case, this factor was constant, that is written here. So finally, if I talk about the inverse Fourier transform of this particular thing, it comes to be 0.25 common. This particular thing is taken common. What remains inside is e raised to minus 2t minus e raised to minus 6t, right? So here in this case, the standard Fourier transform pair e raised to minus at u of t has helped me a lot to obtain this particular convolution, right? I feel I can say that you people must have enjoyed this particular property of Fourier transform.